Clap. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the October 22nd Ad Hoc Senior Housing Committee meeting. The time is 4:02, and I would like to call the meeting to order. Why don't I share with you all that certain meetings normally held in municipal offices are being held remotely with adequate alternative means of public access, and where required, public participation provided in accordance with House Bill number 62 of the 194th General Court, which extended the governor's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the Open Meeting Law, Mass General Laws, Chapter 38, Section 20 until June 30th, 2027. And we are also meeting in Town Hall. Our meetings are typically rebroadcast on Frontier Community Access televisions, YouTube, but I don't know what the status is.
They're still off.
They're still off.
They're
That's
trying to work it out, but
Yeah.
it doesn't look hopeful.
all right. Let's take a roll call. Lily Blake, present. Blake Gilmore,
Here,
Kathy Sylvester,
Here.
Ness
Yes, here.
is present. Alex Galloway, who I think is mostly not being a guest, but being helpful. All right, I would take any motions regarding the minutes from our last meeting on October 8th.
I will make that motion. Carolyn?
Motion to accept them as written.
Approve. I'm sorry. Yes, approve the minutes.
Second it. All right, all those in favor, Blake, Carolyn,
Yes.
Kathy. Yes. Lily, yes. Unanimous. Okey doke. Item number 5 is updates, but I think what we'll just do is, well, actually, let's jump into this really fast. You all should have had an email from me sharing with you that Josh Cuddy from Ed Augustus's office is going to meet with me and whoever wants to attend. It's not an official committee meeting. The purpose of this meeting is to bring him up to date with the RFP and all that kind of stuff. I also emailed you all FERCog's really comprehensive list of the challenges of funding rural subsidized housing. So hopefully you all will get to look at it, and hopefully folks will be able to join that meeting. It is.
I think we should post it because we have such a small group that we're going to have a quorum if one other person shows up. So I think we should post it so that anybody can come. Do you
Okay.
think?
Yeah, but well, yeah, it's just supposed to be a working introduction, early thing, not a real meeting, but whatever. I mean, yeah, I
Well-
don't want to be illegal, that's for sure.
Well, I was planning on going. So
Okay, so let me ask Blake, you guys can go into executive session.
Yeah.
Can we do something like that?
Carolyn,
no, there's no there's not a legal reason for it.
Okay, I mean, it doesn't matter. I just didn't want to put them in that position because that wasn't what the intention of the meeting.
Just
I
to
know,
review.
I know.
Yeah.
Okay, well, maybe,
Meantime,
Yeah,
I can't type into the updates for some reason, so I can type everywhere else.
that's bizarre.
I know.
Okay.
I know they
So-
probably don't want it to do as a work meeting. Okay. Maybe we should just make a list of stuff we want you to cover then for us.
Okay, maybe that makes the most sense. Okay.
So just you.
I mean,
But,
Carolyn, are we violating the open meeting law if we just show up to this thing? As long as we're not discussing anything? She's gonna be doing the talking with Josh. We would just be there as observers.
Yeah, no, we could show up as long as there's no deliberation.
Right.
I think what's really clear is you got to have a list of stuff, and we could work on the list in this public meeting. And then we don't have to worry about a deliberation because we've already deliberated with our list. Okay?
good. Yeah.
So then alls we're doing is doing informational stuff. I mean, we've got to be really clear that we've already got the list. We did that in a public meeting, and then we're just meeting with them to, connect.
So my goal in this meeting is to update them, or to tell them about RRFP. I intend to email it to them, God help them, beforehand. And mostly to say, look, we've got a site and we've done all of this groundwork, and yet we got no takers because of the challenges around subsidies and stuff. So what other points would you all want me to make?
I think we need to give them a little history that this committee has been trying to meet for 25 years, trying to get senior housing. This is not a new thing. We have public property already on Brayburn Avenue. We have
Why would you bring up Brayburn? Why would you want me to bring it
Because-
up?
because this is the difficulty, even though we are cooperative and we want this housing, we are never able to get off the last hurdle, okay? We want to talk about Brayburn, we want to talk about Thayer Street falling through, because they need to know that one of the problems with the rural development of any kind of housing is that you just don't have, like, you don't have technical assistance, and you don't have the right, piece to go into the puzzle to make it the
Well,
final
I'm not-
go.
So Carolyn, I'm not sure I agree, because we did get technical assistance this time around. Christine Medor was really helpful.
Oh, no, I agree, but I'm just talking about as a
Right,
town.
so, yeah.
You want to show that there is a track record of problems with rural development happening, in rural communities. Because the thing is, this is not a one-off. This is a long, there's always these problems. So however we frame it, we just want to say that there is issues, that there is a gap into making things happen. And we want to also acknowledge that we did get technical assistance. They were, Christine was wonderful.
Well, and then we got the farthest we've ever gotten, because we had assistance this time, yes. Okay, anything else that anybody else wants to make sure we bring up with
Well, I think it's also important for us to understand, I've gotten really nowhere in trying to figure out what the subsidy amount is and how they apply those subsidies. No one keeps.
the percent AM ones,
Right.
yes.
So we need to have some kind of understanding. How do we make it more attractive for us? And if we don't understand the subsidy that we're asking for, or that is available, how can we frame the RFP to make it more desirable, I guess? Whatever. If we can't understand it, my point is, I don't have a grasp on what we're asking for and how competitive we are. Are we asking for too much subsidy? Is that what the issue is here? And it's not going to happen? Or, what's the deal? How do they apply the subsidy?
We talked about a few things of changes that we could make in the RFP, and that is one of them. So perhaps what I should do then is go through the different changes that we talked about in the RFP and ask if those would be effective. But and actually, let me back up. I'm not sure I want to do that in this meeting. I think we want to have a full committee meeting with these guys and actually ask these kinds of questions. But I think we need to begin by saying, this is who we are, and we want to work with you, and, share the FERCog thing with Josh. Presumably he's already gotten it, but we'll send it to him again. We'll send him our RFP and say, this is the background. And what I'd like to do in this meeting is figure out how we work with you to make Deerfield a model for achieving
Absolutely.
the Farmland Protection Act goals and our senior housing. I think
And
that's
the SAVE Act, don't forget, Mass Ready is part of that too.
Right, but Mass Ready is a blob right now, and so I think what we're really trying to do is offer them the carrot of the Farmland Protection Act and our ability to creatively work with them around, yes, we need all of these different metrics than they have in the urban world. We need them, and FERCog did a great job outlining them in their packet. But there's more, because we are the lungs and the food basket for our region. And that they recognize that, and they have actually got to, work around it. How do we bring these together? And that's what I think would be, makes this strong, right? We've got a site. We've got this goal. We've got the old people. We could really be a model, because we're not the only town.
Well, that's absolutely true. We want to be the model, or we want to be the pilot, offer ourselves as a pilot to come up with this template that will help rural development. And so that, I agree 100% on that.
I'm thinking that template includes the Farmland Protection Act.
Yes, yeah, bring that all in. There's all kinds of stuff. The food security is more important now than ever. 40% of our workforce, of the farm workforce, is immigrants that aren't showing up because they've been chased out or whatever. And so we're going to have a food shortage fairly soon. And so having food in state is really going to be important. I mean, things are just,
Okay. Yeah, all right. So are we in agreement that we're not going to be working toward a solution, but proposing that we are a great opportunity for them to work with us and develop a model that addresses their two goals? Housing.
you're right. I would say a model and a template for other
Yeah.
small communities.
Oh, yeah, we'll volunteer. You can make the mistakes on us.
Yeah,
There will be
absolutely.
mistakes. We know that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I'll try and I'll watch the video and try to remember what I said, but thank you for taking notes, Kathy.
I don't know if they quite make sense, if I got that part about farming correct.
Okay, great. Yeah, I mean, I think that's our way in about being different. Is their Farmland Protection Act. That's why when I wrote that
Yeah.
letter to them, I brought it up.
Farmland, tell me a little bit about that, because I don't know about it.
There is in the state, I put a link to it in the email that I sent.
Oh, well,
That's okay. There is in the state, this whole movement around farmland protection. And so what I was saying in the email that I sent was like, this could dovetail nicely. Like years ago, when we first talked about this in 2020, we talked about trying to figure out a way that we could offer elderly farmers maybe a reduced rent if they APR'd their land, right? Because then it reduces the value of the land, but that way it makes it so that a young farmer could afford to buy it,
mhm.
right? So that we'd have to do that with the state, right? Because they're all that. Anyway, I think that would be a pretty cool conversation to have.
So you're asking about wanting to be a model, work with them on the Farmland Protection Act and how?
Yes, how they
Sorry.
I mean,
dovetail.
we just went through it with the Melnicks for APR. Is that what we're talking about here?
Yes, well, for the APR, Yeah.
So I mean, that it's something that we've been working on for years.
yeah.
To preserve the land, but like Carolyn said to me at one of our meetings that we were talking about, is that it's really cutting into the fact that we don't have places to build. We don't have the land to build anymore. And
Yeah.
that's a problem, but I've been checking with people around town as far as building and stuff, and there's still people out there that want to build in Deerfield that's already own the land.
Mhm.
And so there is some left, but I don't know what I'm still looking into the whole setup for it.
Mhm.
well, what's
So-
left is more marginal land, so it's more expensive to develop Blake.
So,
It can be developed, but it just is more expensive. You just,
Yeah,
you know, can't.
right. We also need to talk about zoning and fun things like that, no doubt, but not in this meeting. Meeting drift, okay. But yes, and that's gonna be one of our challenges too. Okay, so anything else that y'all think I should be sure to bring up with Josh? I mean, this is the first meeting, so nothing's gonna get figured out, nothing will be decided, and
Well, I just
Well,
think it's
my-
important for you to email our RFP, all the stuff that's like background stuff, so they have a chance to look at it.
that's my intention.
Yep.
And the meeting is next week,
The,
No, 28.
it's November,
It's next.
oh, this, meeting with Josh is next Tuesday at noon. Yes, and
So, but you do or don't want us there?
you can be there because we won't deliberate,
Okay,
I'll speak,
that's I might be able to make
and you all can like,
And it's gonna
so
be.
it's gonna be a Zoom, I mean,
Yeah,
it's
it's
gonna be
a-
virtual.
it's a virtual meeting,
it's a
and,
virtual
yeah,
meeting,
yeah, it's a
okay.
They
virtual,
won't be
So,
here in
Where
person,
will
so.
that link be? You'd be sending it?
yes.
Okay.
If I didn't.
Yeah,
already.
because-
Didn't I do that already? No, okay.
You
No,
might
I-
have.
So,
I will, I will.
okay.
Okay. All right, item number 6, the climate leader support. Did you all get to read all the fun things I sent you? Following the conversation, and to remind everybody, this is to see if the senior housing committee is going to say in town meeting that we support the 3 articles for.
The only question I had is when is if we vote yes, when does it go into effect?
July 1st, I believe it is.
Oh, okay, because
I'm not sure if that's the case, because Chris was just talking about it, maybe January 1st.
Yeah, I think there was conflicting.
It's conflicting,
In the warrant versus.
so they're trying to figure it out.
Okay.
Yeah.
because is Cumberland Farms, have they already pulled the permit, or are they just going through the approval process at the moment?
I think it's just approval process right
has-
now.
Yeah, it's being heard at the planning board on the first
Okay.
round.
It has to be 6 months after it passes, which would make it July.
I'm not sure
Hmm.
honestly. I feel like there was like 2 different things written up.
Yeah,
that
it
were
should be, yeah.
different.
So anyway, maybe there'll be a motion on the floor of town meeting
Jump in.
that to make sure it is July.
Yeah, I would want to make sure the commercial development of Cumberland Farms is, is not at all impacted. Because again, the thing that's really smart about this is we're gonna cut our operating costs. So as taxpayers, everybody should be voting for this. But we also want something like Cumberland Farms to happen, so, which is brand new, because my understanding, they're gonna demolish it and then build new, so it would be subject to the new code. Whether they would do that anyway, it doesn't matter. I'm just saying that we don't even want that complication, would be in my
Yes.
mind.
I think Jason's in favor of it, actually.
Well, one of the
No.
things that I did was I looked at Amherst and Northampton, both of whom have passed the specialized energy code. And I compared their number of residential permits and their commercial permits, both before and after their specialized energy code. And for Amherst, they had a 2.54% increase in residential permits after the specialized code, and a 6.25 increase in the commercial permits after the specialized code. In Northampton, they had a 2.72% increase in residential permits after the specialized code, then a 9.38% increase in commercial permits after the specialized code. So my takeaway from that is does not have a negative impact on building.
Well, we already know it doesn't on residential because of the stuff that Kathy sent out. It was clear you could build, a giant house and still it would cost the same, but I was concerned about commercial and, just to eliminate any discussion if it was July 1st, and the permits would already be pulled for Cumberland Farm, so it wouldn't even be projects, so it wouldn't even be considered.
We have to look beyond just that one project.
Oh, I know, but I'm just thinking
The
that's,
impact on all
that's a
commercial.
brand new, and we don't, having brand new commercial is not a general thing. It's usually renovations, which would not which doesn't fall under this.
Okay.
We just don't
I
have the
just-
commercial, we don't have commercial space in town for brand new usually.
But Newpro's pretty darn big. Or whatever
What?
it's called. Or whatever it's called. And it's all electric too. Anyway, so there are 3 articles, right? And there's the electric vehicles first policy, which says that the town will look at them first. There's the pledge to work toward being greenhouse gas fuel free, greenhouse gas emissions free by 2050, which the state is already committed to, so seems like it's gonna happen whether we vote or not. And then there's the specialized energy code, which is specifically about building. I do want to correct something. I did more digging, obviously, because I shared a bunch with you all, and it turns out that subsidized housing is not required to have the specialized energy code. So I spoke with RDI, and they have a call in with a builder and a home inspector as well. They haven't heard back from yet. And when I spoke to RDI, she said, no, you're right. They have to adhere to the stretch code, which we have already anyway. The only difference is in their building is that then they have to adhere to the passive building code. And she said, look, it's ridiculous because the state requires us to do it anyway. I mean, they don't require us, but they won't give you the subsidies that you want, and et cetera, et cetera. She said, so it's basically, we're building to the specialized code regardless. So but I just wanted to be really clear, because when she said that and I went back and she said, oh, well, what I meant was we have to do it anyway, sort of a thing. Not that it's legally
So
required.
what did they do in Sunderland,
They're all electric except for hot water or something. I don't know. That doesn't make sense. There's something else. They're not, yeah. Sunderland, does Sunderland have the stretch code? I don't know. And they have the base code, but probably not. They probably have the stretch code.
Yeah, they've had energy committee, I think, for a while.
Yeah.
That's subsidized housing, so they would have had to apply to whatever the
Whatever-
code was
whatever
at the
it was
time. It was a stretch code of, I get confused how many stretch code updates there are, but anyway, whatever the current stretch code was, they had to apply because they were subsidized housing.
And the other thing that, like Jason Keyes brought it up on Deerfield Now, is about like, are you sure it's not about renovations? And I think what he's confused about is the stretch code does require, and we have the stretch code now, and it does require it for renovations on what you're doing. So for example, if you're replacing windows, you have to use the stretch code windows, but you don't have to do the walls. In other words, you don't have to do more than what you're doing. What you're doing has to be up to the stretch code, but it doesn't have anything to do with the specialized code. It's just, that's what we have now. And so that's probably what he's been dealing with as he's gone around doing, like he did that little building next to Frank's, yeah, Fisher's. So I bet you that's what he ran into and what he was thinking about. But that's not gonna change, whatever the vote is. So, anyway,
Someone has to tell me.
I sort of kind of did. I sent him, I was on my phone, so I said, I'm sorry, but here's the code, you can look at it. I mean, but he's right about it, stretch code, which we have now, you do have to do it with renovations. So, Blake, I know you were concerned about the buildings, which is why I went and counted permits.
Right, and I still am. I mean, the thing is that Northampton and Amherst are 2 small cities that have a lot of money flowing through them because of the colleges and the rest of the thing. We don't have that. here. So the increase, and they also have, you know, a huge industrial park, and, you know, Amherst has UMass that's always doing building, and they're gonna always, you know, follow what the state has got out there anyway, so I'm still concerned about the contractors here that might wanna be able to build, or, you know, you guys have passed a law about what was it, the ADA, to put on another building on your lot so that you could house this, people from inside the house, so their kids could get into the big house and that sort of thing. It just seems
you
to me
mean
that it's
ADU.
ADU, sorry. And then, it just seems to me that that's where I'm hearing a lot of griping is from the contractors themselves. And
So
the
I'm
fact that
sure-
I've got people that are telling me they did have land here, they still do have land here, and they were planning on building, but they're not gonna build because it's becoming too far out to reach, money wise in order to build. And, you know, I talked to Bob, the building inspector, and he says, when they start getting into that, he says, I don't even deal with it. You have to hire somebody to inspect what you're doing in that house and make sure that you're doing it by the code. And then all he does at the end of it is sign off.
So that's the stretch code?
That's what we're
It's
living
the
with
stretch
now.
code, and it
That's what we're
continues
living with
with it,
now.
with the,
So, but
there's no
will
change.
anything change
No.
if we get the specialized code?
well, what does the
Because they-
specialized code have you do? It makes it mandatory for you to put,
You have to pre-wire the house.
right, and you have to put on solar panels.
If
and-
you can, I
If you
mean,
can.
if it's not
Yeah.
appropriate, you don't.
Right,
You
but I
can't.
mean, it's to a point where you know, it's like. You have to do certain things in order to build, and it's making it not a friendly town to build in because of these facts.
Well,
So, and I
but-
mean, you can't,
The vast majority of towns in Massachusetts have adopted the stretch code. There's only like 40 that haven't. And there's like 350 towns in
Well,
Massachusetts.
does the
something like
stretch
that.
codes require
Stretch
solar
code.
panel?
No, but the stretch codes require all the insulation and all that
So the
envelope
difference
stuff.
that you're concerned about is the pre-wiring.
Yeah.
Because that's not in the stretch code, correct?
right,
And the solar panels, which is not in the stretch code.
right, plus the wiring for the electric car in the garage, whether you own one or you don't own one, you still have to have it set up for it. And there's other, I can't think of everything that goes on with this. I'm sure there's more that I haven't even looked at yet.
Mhm.
But again, it's when you're hearing from the townspeople and they're telling you that they don't like this. And they don't want this to go any further than it is, which is the stretch code. Then I'm listening to them, and I'm listening to what they're saying to
I
us.
guess
So,
I'm hearing different people.
well, there's,
That's-
and
I'm
don't get me
hearing
wrong,
people
there's
Right.
definitely different people in this town
who-
that are all for it, and I agree with that. I mean, everybody has their own opinions.
Right,
And right now with me, I just think that this is moving too fast and you're forcing the issue. And I understand about the $1 million grant, but I also understand that if what you're telling me is true, that there's already, how many towns that are all gone completely green? 200 and,
oh no, the stretch code is what I'm
okay, well,
saying.
how
That's a
about,
different
how about the
thing.
green code? There's 90 towns that have adopted the green
specialized-
code,
The special.
specialized green code. And that you've got a pot of 50 million. And
But I think
don't
they
think-
said, well, we just were at a talk where, what's the man's name that said there was like 48 million left? out
Yeah,
of
something
that?
like that. Keith David.
David.
Yeah.
So a lot of that, most of that money is still there, so I don't know how many have gotten this in the specialized code. That's a good question. I think we should find out.
But, I mean, to my mind, so I know that a lot of people are very concerned about taxes, right? And
Yep.
taxes going up. And we know our taxes are gonna get hit with all this healthcare stuff.
Right.
I know they're juggling right now, and they've
Right.
pulled it off for this year, but you know, how much longer can that go on? Whereas if we pass this and we get grants to offset the energy costs for the library, to offset the energy costs for town hall. The wastewater treatment plants, electricity bill is somewhere around 40K a year, right? There's I don't know what the library is gonna be, but I've heard numbers that are not small. So if we can, those are operating costs that repeat every year. They go on and on and on, right? And what other opportunity does a town have to reduce its operating costs? You know, and that's an annual thing, cumulative.
Right. Aren't we starting next year with the solar field that's up by the dump?
Mhm.
And we're gonna be getting the credits off of that that can be used for
Mhm.
both the library and the town offices. So, and I mean, that's,
How much
What's-
is that gonna generate
It's like
annually?
6 million over.
No,
oh,
how
I
much
don't-
annually?
My concern was the library, when we went to the, this is before the library was approved, the information night. I was so shocked that the electric bill, because of the air exchange requirement, was gonna be $3,600 a month estimated. And that was when electricity was far cheaper than it is right now. And so I don't know what it's gonna cost the library, but I'm assuming it's gonna be a lot more than that $3,600. And that $3,600 is not in the budget. And I am concerned, as from a taxpayer point of view, that's why I'm pushing this, because this is a way to reduce the cost. And the solar field was meant to also reduce operating costs and not just offset additional costs. I mean, we're not getting ahead. And this gives us an opportunity to get ahead and be sort of independent, in the sense that we're not going to be require taxpayer dollars as much for energy in both the town
you're
hall.
telling me that you are firmly convinced that you're gonna get grant money to be able to put the solar panels on both buildings.
Absolutely, absolutely. This is
Even
why
better.
we're doing it at this point, Blake, because if you wait around until everybody else is on board, there isn't any more money, and guess what? You have to do it anyway. This is coming down the pike, just like the stretch code is. Everybody had to adopt this stretch code because everybody was forced to do it more or less. And the few towns that don't, well, they aren't, I'm sure there are no growth towns to begin with. And so this is an opportunity to get a grant. You know, you're gonna have to do it. We know we have these expenses incurring once the library opens up. I don't know what the town hall estimate is, but again, it's an airtight new building and a renovated building, just like the library. So we're gonna have to have air exchangers. Running those air exchangers at this current electric rate is ridiculous. And those are not been budgeted at all. So not only are we going to be faced with insurance cost increase, we have these energy costs that we could in fact, reduce. And the sewer treatment plant, if you can get solar panels down there, which is ideal, I mean, my gosh, that is huge, because people's sewer bills will go down. You know, people pay a lot of money for sewer.
Well, I'd be careful about saying anything's gonna go down in this world, but not
No,
quite.
but if you eliminate the $40,000 that we're currently paying, it's gotta have some impact. Or
I
at least it
agree,
will
but I'm just-
offset the increases for the hauling
Right, that's what
charges.
I'm saying. I would be very careful about saying anything going down, but we can say clearly that it can help offset increases.
Yes, offset the hauling costs, because those hauling costs aren't gonna get down either. And so, I mean, to me, from a taxpayer point of view, this is
Elementary
the way to
school,
go.
and there's elementary school and Frontier as well.
Yes,
That's-
yes, I know.
Um,
And we as a lead community, or always community, have to be a green community if Frontier is gonna be able to do this.
So anyway, I guess the question is, do we support, may as well just say the 3 articles unless anybody wants to do them one by one? Because it's.
Well, I think we should vote individually, because people need to understand that it's just not lumped together. The first 2 are harmless in the sense that we've already agreed in prior different.
Let's walk through them one by one, Carolyn. All right,
Okay,
electric vehicle first policy.
I would make a motion to approve that And my reasoning is we've already signed on as a MVP community and all these other things that we've done in the past that we, when it's practical, we would in fact look at electric vehicles. It's not like we have a fleet of vehicles. Anyway,
All right, I second that motion. All those in favor, Carolyn,
yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
Lily, yes, Blake,
No,
okay. So that is 3-0.
Motion
One.
passed. 3-1-0.
3-1-0, 3 in favor, 1 opposed, none abstaining. Okay. The pledge article. And so that is the article that says
Fossil
that
fuel plant.
the fossil fuel, that we pledge to work toward becoming a fossil-free community, or it's actually greenhouse gas emissions, GHG emissions free community by 2050, which is to say to follow the state's mandate.
Again, you want to do it because it's the right thing. So I will make that motion that we are doing it, you know, at every opportunity. Anyway,
All right. Carolyn,
yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
Lily, yes.
no,
Blake, no. So same. All right, the specialized energy code motion, article.
I will make a motion to approve that as well.
I second it.
All right. Any more discussion before we go on?
I just want to make sure the minutes are clear that from a taxpayer point of view, this makes the most sense to reduce our operating costs or have the opportunity to reduce our operating costs.
You're voting as a taxpayer. Gotcha. I think we all are.
Yes,
Okay.
I know.
So those in favor, Carolyn,
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
Lily, yes, Blake.
no,
Okay. Motion passes 3-1-0. Okay. We had on our agenda to begin reviewing of the RFP, but I think that rather than doing that, we can, unless anybody has any business or public comment or anything, we can adjourn so that Kathy and I can get ready for the Community Preservation Committee meeting. But does anybody have anything else they wanted to bring up, new business? And we'll
No.
begin, so we'll meet with Josh Cuddy next week. And then we'll see if they want to join our meeting on November 5th, okay?
Okay.
So, and if, I don't know if they work at 5 o'clock, I just don't know. So we'll find out, we'll get that figured out. And so otherwise, our next meeting will be November 5th at 5 o'clock unless something changes.
Okay.
Okay.
Can I add just a few updates?
Oh, yes,
The brownfields, the hazardous building materials assessment that we submitted for, it's on hold because they need to get approval from EPA and.
and there is no EPA, is there?
There's- And I'm sure they're dwindling, but we'll see.
Oh,
Colin Hazard's building it.
Hazardous building materials assessment, so it's an EPA brownfields assessment grant, but.
is there a state?
Like brownfield?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is through who it is, but usually EPA is a pass through for those
Oh.
funds. A lot of times for the state money.
And this is for.
The same
All for
thing.
St. James.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to assess if there's hazardous materials, like whether somebody else took it, whether it's rehab, whether it's demoed, like all the options on the table, you still wanna know
Right.
what mess is in there, what needs to be mitigated, so.
Mhm.
And it's free, there's no cost share to the town, it's just, you know.
So because the
submit.
shutdown is why you can't do.
They need approval from EPA to see if it qualifies. They have to go through like all appropriate inquiries and make sure that, you know, there's no disaster at this site on the federal databases that would have a liable or responsible party is how brownfields funding works. Like it goes back to.
Make sure that they are aware, that we did have an assessment. Cause
Yes.
what we want the assessment. So we will say that we already have had assessment, cause you want to be upfront with that. But we would like the tanks cleared, and, we don't really know what's under the church, or, I mean, you just say
Yeah.
long time parking lot, all that kind of stuff, so that they don't just decide that we don't really qualify because we already have a clean site. I mean,
No,
we
I sent them the assessment and the
Oh,
phase 2
good.
of
Okay.
those tanks and all
Alex
that.
is good.
I've done actually a lot of brownfields. That was my title in the past. So yeah, they've got all that. They understand that, but it's
Okay,
like testing
perfect.
for the
Yeah, we
caulk
just,
and installation and those tanks. And sometimes you can leverage the assessment money to say that you need to, I wish we didn't do the testing under the tanks, honestly. Because there are sneaky ways that you can say we need to do more assessment money by digging out those tanks, and that's how we test the soil underground too. And it doesn't qualify in cleanup funding, because cleanup funding is totally separate and a totally different bear than assessment funding. Assessment's a lot easier usually to get a hold of, but.
And here we thought we were
Anyway.
doing good things by
Well, you
getting in front of it, yeah.
well, it is, it's important. And when we were doing the RFP, it's important, but now that we want an assessment, we gotta backtrack a little and say, oh, maybe it's not as clean as you think it is, but whatever.
Well,
Anyway,
but they don't ever usually do building materials. Like, it's typical in a phase 1 that it's not required in like all appropriate inquiries or in the chain of like ownership. And
Yeah, this is more along the lines of, was
Contaminated.
there a dry cleaner there, blah, 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 yeah.
So anyway, so we're waiting till the government's open to figure that situation out. And then I went to the chamber breakfast this morning, and Secretary Augustus was there. They had a panel. He presented, Megan Rhodes presented from FERCog. And I'd say like it was a lot of discussion just about, the status of housing is, pretty difficult in our rural area, and all the difficulties. Our housing stock is older. We have a lot of people trying to move here, all those things. So a lot of, just kind of reiterating that stuff. But the two things that kind of came out that stood out to me was that the secretary actually mentioned that they might be looking at revising the housing community of choice parameters. And so making some of those things easier, and maybe making some of our like bylaw tweaks, as we're doing it for our ADU bylaw updates anyway. Maybe we, add in some of those metrics, and we can become a housing community of choice, and then we're eligible for some other funding opportunities at the state level. And then also their investments, whether it's like tax credits or grants for technical assistance for housing, they're starting to incorporate some metrics so that rural communities projects are more, they're more competitive, so that we get more scoring points, if you will.
Right.
So we'll see.
Alex, when they were talking about the ADUs, did they talk about the upgrades for the septic system? Were they trying to give any credits for people that needed to upgrade their septic system? Say you had a 3-bedroom house, it's only rated for 3-bedroom. You put an ADU in, you got to upgrade your septic system. It makes the cost of upgrading the septic system is so prohibitive. So did they talk about doing any credits for upgrades of septics?
No, they didn't talk about that so much. They just kind of toted their Mass Works grant, which is the upgrade, the grants for municipalities for their infrastructure, their public water and sewer systems, not like in a private context.
We need to bring that up somewhere, and maybe that's one thing that we could put on the side of this discussion with the housing people. I don't want to distract from our argument for subsidized senior housing, but the ADU bylaw is really useless because it's so prohibitive expense-wise, because people's upgrading the septic system in a community like us, is $20,000, $30,000, $40,000. That's where your expense is in building those kind of things. You can put get a couple $1,000 unit that is really cute, tiny, but it's still another additional bedroom, and you have to have the upgrade and to hook up, and it's cost prohibitive.
No, I agree. I mean, even our own bylaw, right? If you want to build a new house, if you have to have a mound system, it's not allowed. So like, then what do you do?
Right. I know.
Weird. Not allowed, if you're trying to
Yeah.
build new, you're not allowed to have a mound system. Why?
I didn't know that.
Does that
Well,
make sense?
because they're not well, they're not, we're too wet. Our water table is too high. So the mounded system is you have a lot of places you have to put a mounded system and it's not a reliable system long-term. So that's why it's not.
Turkey holes on my street.
I know. Well, if you live there, if you were a pre-existing house and your only way to fix your septic system, if it was not working properly, was to put a mounded system, you're allowed to do that. But a mounded system is not a good, I mean, number one, it's very expensive, but also from an operational point of view, it just isn't, long-term, it doesn't work. It's gonna fail. It's not, you can't really maintain them that good. I went to a whole class on it. It was so depressing.
All right, Alex, did you have any more?
That's it.
updates for us? Any
Nope.
more
Sorry.
happy news
Okay.
to share? Okay, well, just FYI, on ADUs, I'm in touch with the head of backyard ADUs.
Oh, cool.
Who, and they're the ones that RDI is
Right.
working with in Greenfield and stuff, and I'm talking to them about the strategic, the specialized energy code as well, and their stuff is all, like my sister had one built from them years ago, and it's all up to the stretch code already. That's the way they
Stretch or
build.
specialized?
The stretch, because the specialized didn't exist when she
Okay.
had it, but that's just the way they've been building. It's all electric and solar panels and blah, blah, blah.
So, but the
So-
stretch code doesn't require solar panels, right?
New,
So they're
doesn't.
building now according to the specialized code?
no, I'm saying that they've been building, according to all the parameters around the stretch code for years anyway, so. I'm talking to him to try and find out what are they doing about specialized code in Massachusetts. I have not
I see.
heard back from him yet. So, but because the ADUs is a really good question. It's a really important concern, especially for seniors. They have not heard back from him, otherwise
Okay.
I would have shared more information, but Blake did bring up ADUs and they came up again. All right, public comment? There is none. All right, I would entertain any motions about adjourning at this time, which is 4:49.
I'll Make the motion.
I will second it.
Hey, all those in favor, Carolyn,
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
Lily, yes, Blake,
Yes.
you didn't say no?
No.
All right, we are adjourned. It is 4:50 PM.
Great,
Thank you
right.
all. All right. So, hang on,
Okay.
on the agenda instead of on this thing. Stop recording.